Hello students, welcome back into the ITLS Academy. As you know, I am your mentor in this subject. So today we are going to discuss about the blotting techniques. It will include southern, northern and western blotting. So let's start with what is what is the blotting? The term blotting refers to the transfer of biological samples from a gel to a membrane and their subsequent detection on the surface on the membrane. So we can define it. Blot are techniques for transferring DNA, RNA and proteins onto a carrier so they can be separate and often follow the use of a gel electrophoresis. So now we are going to discuss about the blotting techniques. As different blots are used to identify the presence of one specific target molecule. It could be DNA, RNA or protein in a complex mixture of the related molecules. Blotting refers to the transfer of macromolecules. These are the macromolecules from a gel onto the solid surface of an immobilized membrane. These are the immobilized membrane for the transfer or for the detection of the transferred molecule. All blotting techniques share a similar workflow. Initially, an electrophoresis procedure is used to separate molecules by size on a gel based on the movement of macromolecules in an electric field, and then these separated molecules are transferred to a solid membrane. We can use as a solid membrane like a nitrocellulose membrane, nylon, or it could be the PVDF. So suited to immobilize the target molecules of interest. End users are then able to incorporate labels like radio labels, fluorescent label or reporter enzyme label to the immobilized. These are the immobilized target with probes. These are the probes. Immobilized target with the probes that sequence specific or shape specific to the target molecule of interest. It could be the either DNA, RNA or protein. During an incubation step, then facilitate hybridization. So this hybridization process, which consists of a bound probe. This hybridization process consists of bound probe can be later detected and visualized by the using imaging methods called autoradiography. So let's discuss about the types of blotting and techniques. Three types of blotting techniques are here. Southern blotting, it's used for the DNA detection. Northern blotting, it's used for the RNA detection. And western blotting, it's used for the protein detection. So let's start with the southern blotting. Professor Sardan, professor of the biochemistry and fellow of Trinity, developed this method in 1975. This method is named after its inventor, the British biologist Edwin Miller Sardan. Sardan won the Lasker Award for the Clinical Medical Research Prize for the method of finding specific DNA sequences. Southern blotting combines transfer of electrophoresis, separated DNA fragments to a filter membrane and subsequent fragments detection by probes hybridization. So let's discuss about the principle of southern blotting. Southern blotting is an example of restriction fragment length polymerase. Southern blotting is a hybridization technique for identification of particular size of DNA, from the mixture of similar molecule. This technique is based on principle of separation of DNA fragments. You can see here. The techniques based on the principle of separation of DNA fragments by gel electrophoresis and identified by label probe hybridization. Basically, the DNA fragments are separated on the base of size and charge during electrophoresis. Separated DNA fragments after transferring on the nylon membrane. You can see here, these are the nylon membrane. This upper membrane is nylon membrane. So, separated DNA fragments after transferring on nylon membrane, the desired DNA is detected using a specific DNA probe that is complementary on the desired DNA. Then a hybridization probe is shorted 100 to 500 base pair single standard DNA. The probe are labeled with a marker. You can see here, this probe is labeled with the marker so that they can be detected after hybridization. So these are the simple principle of the Southern blotting. So let's discuss about the apparatus using in this Southern blotting. The agar gel of Southern blotting is mounted on the filter paper dipped into a revisor containing transfer buffer. You can see here this filter paper dipped into the revisor containing transfer buffer. These are the transfer buffer and these are the filter membrane paper is dipped into the buffer. So the hybridization membrane is sandwiched between the gel. This is the gel between into the gel and paper towel. This is the agar gel and this is the paper, blotting paper. So buffer through the gel by capillary reaction. Here this buffer is going in this paper by the capillary reaction. In this picture you can see here, these are the buffers and here is the blotting paper and this is the nylon membrane trap and bind with the nucleic acid and this is the agar gel. You can see the agar gel just this nylon membrane properly attached with this agar gel and in this agar gel the blotting paper properly attached. So this capillary reaction is going on in this blotting paper. So DNA molecules are run onto the membrane. Nitrocellulose or nylon serve as the membrane material. These nylon membrane, this black nylon membrane is serve as a membrane material. After transfer, the DNA is fixed onto the membrane. The DNA transfer by the gel. So after transfer, the DNA fixed onto this nylon membrane. Then the membrane is placed in a solution of labeled RNA, single standard DNA or oligo deoxynucleotide complementary to the blot transfer DNA band to be detected. So now we are going to discuss about the steps involved in Southern blotting. First, we will discuss about the first step. First step is extraction and purification of DNA from cell. This is the process. DNA is first separated from targeted cells following standard method of genomic DNA extraction and then purified. Then in the second method, restriction digestion or DNA fragmentation, the restriction endonucleases are used to cut high molecular weight DNA strands into smaller fragments. You can see here. To these smaller fragments, it was cut cut by the restricted enzyme into the smaller fragments. So one or more restricted enzyme can be used to achieve such fragments. This type of fragments we can use one or more restricted enzyme. In the third, separation by electrophorese. Separation by electrophorese. The separation may be done by agrogel electrophoresis, in which the negative charged DNA fragments move to the positive charged DNA fragments. So we can understand like this. The separation may be done by agrogel electrophoresis, in which the negative charge, this negative charge DNA fragments move towards the positive charge anode. This is the positive charge. This one is the positive charge anode. The distance moved depends upon its size. And next step is depurination. In this process, partial depuration is done by the use of diluted HCl, which promote higher efficiency transfer of DNA fragments by its breaking down into smaller pieces. So next step is denaturation. DNA is then denatured with a mild alkali such as an alkaline solution of NaOH. This cause of double stranded DNA to become single stranded DNA. Double stranded DNA convert into the single stranded DNA, making them suitable for hybridization. DNA is then neutralized with NaCl to prevent rehybridization before addition of the probe. In the sixth step, blotting. In this blotting method, the denatured fragments are then transferred onto a nylon or nitrocellulose filter membrane, which is done by placing the gel on the top of buffer saturated filter paper, then laying nitrogen filter membrane on the top of the gel. Finally, some dry filter paper are placed on top of the membrane and fragments are pulled toward the nitrocellulose filter membrane by capillary action and result in the contact print of the gel. You can see by this picture, this process. Blotting techniques, you can see after the electrophoresis here, this blotting techniques, again I am repeating in this, after denaturation, the denatured fragments are then transferred onto the nylon membrane. Here is this one is the nylon membrane, and nylon membrane or nitrocellulose filter membrane, which is done by placing the gel on the top of a buffer saturated filter paper. Here this gel is transferred into this buffer. So finally some dry filter paper are placed on the top of the membrane. Fragments are pulled towards the nitrocellulose filter membrane by capillary reaction. You can see in this picture, this capillarization is going on and result in the contract printed of the gel. You can see here there. Here is the result you can see in the gel. So next we are going to discuss about the baking. The membrane is then exposed to a hybridization probe, which is a single DNA fragment with a specific sequence whose presence in the target DNA is to be determined. The probe DNA is labeled so that it can be detected, usually by incorporating radioactive or tagging the molecule with a fluorescent or chromogenic dye. So next step is washing or unbound probes. After the hybridization, the membrane is thoroughly washed with a buffer to remove the probes that is bound non-specifically or any unbounded probe presently. Then next and last one is autograph. The hybridization region are detected autograph. You can see here this hybridization region can be detected by the autographically by placing the nitrocellulose membrane in contact with a photogenic film which show the hybridized DNA molecules. These are the hybridized DNA molecules. The pattern of hybridization is visualized on X-ray film by autography in case of a radioactive or fluorescent probe is used, or by the development of color on the membrane if a colorimetric detection method is used. So now question is arised here, why Southern blotting is important. Southern blotting is designed to locate a particular sequence of DNA with a complex mixture. For example, Southern blotting could be used to locate a particular gene with an entire genome. The amount of DNA needed for the techniques is depend on the size and specific activity of the probes. So now, application of the Southern blotting. It is used in detection the DNA in a given sample such as DNA fragment. In this picture you can see here it is used in the detecting the DNA in a given sample such as DNA fingerprinting in the forensic. It is used for the forensic science. So you can see here this is the case sample and this is the suspected one, this is the suspected 2 sample and this is the suspected 3 sample. So you can see these DNA fingerprintings and these fingerprintings are almost similar. So by the fingerprinting we can detect the DNA. So next is it is used in isolation and identification the genome of the interest. And in the forensic, Southern blotting is one of the commonly used procedure, especially in criminal identification or victim identification. It is used for parenting testing. It helps identify gene rearrangement or mutation in a particular sequence of DNA or gene mapping. It is used to diagnose a particular disease caused by the genetic defects. You can see here. These are the normal samples and these are the diseased samples on the gel electrophoresis. And after Southern blotting, only only affected, or we can say only disease related DNA is present here. So it is helpful in identify infectious agent. It helps in restricting fragments length polymerization. It has the ability to identify a single gene in a pool of DNA fragments. It helps detect cancer and genetic disease like sickle cells or mutations and monoclonal leukemia. Now we are going to discuss about the Northern blotting. Northern blotting is a technique for detection of a specific RNA sequence. Southern was for detecting DNA sequence and Northern for the detecting for the RNA sequence. Northern blotting was developed by the James Elvin and the Gerg Strank at the Stanford University in 1979 and was named such by analogy to Southern blotting. So, what is the principle of Northern blotting? In Northern blot, the sample RNA is separated on the basis of size with the help of gel electrophoresis. These are the RNA extracted and this is separated on the basis of size of the help of gel electrophoresis. The separated RNA fragments are transferred to a support membrane. These are the membranes. Support membrane and then treated with a labeled DNA probe. Here we used a probe, DNA probe. So, if the sample contains the complementary RNA sequence, the probe will bind to the membrane. This is the probe bind to the membrane and it can be visualized using various methods. This is the simple principle of Northern blotting. So, now we are going to discuss about the procedure of the Northern blotting. So, the tissue or culture sample collected is first homogenized. Here, this is the sample, RNA sample and homogenized it. And the sample may be representative of different types of culture or from comparison, or it can be for the study of different stages of growth inside the culture. The RNA sequence is separated in the electrophoresis unit. You can see here the RNA sequence is separated in the electrophoresis unit and agrogel is used for the purpose of the nucleic acid separation. Here is the RNA extracted and then extracted RNA used for the detection is the electrophoresis. Then now the separation RNA sequence is transferred to the transfer to the nylon membrane. This done by two mechanisms, capillary action and the ionic interaction. So, the transfer operation is done by keeping the gel in the following order. First, the agrogel is placed on the bottom of the stack, followed by the blotting membrane. On top, these papers towels are a milled weight or glass plate is placed. The entire setup is kept in a breaker containing transfer buffer. Then this RNA transferred to the nylon membrane is then fixed using UV radiation. The fixed nylon membrane is then mixed with the probe. You can see here this probe is look like in a green color and this probe is mixed here with the membrane. The probe are specifically designed for the gene of interest so that they will hybridize with RNA sequence on the blot corresponding to the sequence of interest. The blot membrane is washed to remove unwanted probe, then labeled. You can see here the labeled probe is detected by chemiluminescence or autoradiography. The result will be dark band in X-ray. These are the dark band in the X-ray. So this is the procedure of Northern blotting. We can explain again Northern blotting by this picture. In the first step is the extracted and purified mRNA from the cells, then separated by the gel electrophoresis, and then in this third process the gel is immersed in depurinization buffer for 5-10 minutes and washed with water, then transferred to the aminobenzylene filter paper. The transfer of RNA from gel to membrane is called blotting. Here, this process is called blotting because this gel is transferred to the membrane. Red color is called the membrane. After transfer, the membrane is baked at 80 degrees centigrade. Add labeled DNA probe. Here you can see add labeled DNA probe for hybridization to take place, and then wash off unbounded probes and autoradiograph to detect mRNA or DNA hybridize. So now what is the application of Northern blotting? Observed a particular gene's expression pattern between tissue organ development stage, environmental stress level, pathogen infection, and over the course of treatment, used to show overexpression of oncogenesis and down regulation of tumor suppressor gene in cancerous cell. Detecting a specific mRNA in sample used for screening recombinants which are successfully transferred with transgene mRNA splicing studies. So next we are going to discuss about the Western blotting. The first and most common myth is that Western blotting is named after a Dr. Weston who first described the techniques. Actually, two distinct research groups are typically credited with the development of Western blotting. First one, George Stark and colleagues published first in 1979 with a method that few of us would recognize today, relying on capillary transfer. Months later, Harry Tobin described his electro-blotting techniques, which rapidly became the preferred methodology due to its speed and ease of use. However, it was not until 1981 that the term Western blot was introduced by W. Neil Burnett in his seminal paper. So let's discuss about the principle of Western blotting. Western blotting is a rapid and sensitive assay for detection and characterization of protein. It is based on the principle of immunochromatography, where proteins are separated into polyacrylamide gel according to their molecular weight. The protein thus separated are then transferred or electro-transferred onto nitrocellulose membrane and are detected using specific primer antibody and secondary enzyme labeled antibody and substrate. You can see in this picture. First picture is showing a unstained SDS phase. Prior to Western blot, the bent shown are hypothetical, and the second picture exact replica of SDS phase gel obtained as a blot following Western transfer. And in the C picture, primary antibody binding to a specific band on the blot. These are the primary antibody bind to the specific band on the blot. Secondary antibody, in this D, secondary antibody, you can see here, this one is the primary antibody, and now this is the secondary antibody bind. The secondary antibody conjugated to an enzyme. This enzyme, it could be alkaline phosphatase or horseradish peroxidase, binding to primary antibody. And in the C and in the E, color develop of specific band. You can see here primary antibody bind here, and the secondary antibody also bind here, and a color development of specific band. This is the principle of Western blot. So let's discuss about the procedure of Western blot. Here is the 7 procedure we are using in the Western blotting. First one, sample preparation. Second one, gel electrophoresis, membrane transfer. Fourth one is the blocking, and fifth one is the antibody incubation. It is the primary and secondary, and sixth, protein detection, and last one, the analysis. You can see in this picture. Sample preparation, gel electrophoresis, membrane transfer, blocking, primary antibody incubation, secondary antibody incubation, and detection by the probe method, and last one is the analysis. So let's discuss about the first, sample preparation. Protein can be extracted from different samples such as tissue or cell. Since tissue samples display a higher degree of structure, the tissue are first broken down by the mechanical inventions such as homogenizer or the sonication. You can see here this homogenization by the sonication or the homogenizer. Protease and phosphatase inhibitor are commonly used to prevent the digestion of the sample at a cold temperature. After protein extraction, it is important to detect the concentration of protein, which permits the mass of protein loaded into each well. And a spectrophotometer is often used for protein concentration. Next is gel electrophoresis. The most commonly used gel is polyacrylamide gel and buffer loaded with sodium dodecyl sulfate. Western blot used 2 types of agarose gel. Stacking gel, this is the stacking gel. You can see in this picture, and dark one is the separating gel. This light gel is stacking gel till here, and from here onward to end onward is the separating gel. So stacking gel, that is used for concentrate all protein. These are the proteins. All proteins in one band, and separating gel that allow for separate proteins according to their molecular weight. So this is the difference. Again I am repeating. Here is the Western blot use 2 type of agrogel. First one is the stacking gel and second one is the separating gel. Stacking gel, that is used for concentration all protein in one band, and separating gel that allow for separating proteins according to their molecular weight. Smaller proteins migrate faster in SDL space when a voltage is applied. So page can separate protein ranging from 5 to 2000 kilo delta according to the uniform pore size which is controlled by the different concentration of phase. Typically, separating gel are made in 5, 8, 10, 12 and 15%. When we choose the appropriate percentage of the separating gel, we should consider the size of the target proteins. The smaller the known weight of protein is, the higher percentage of gel should be used. So next is the protein transfer. After separating protein by gel electrophoresis, protein are moved from within the gel onto a solid support membrane to make a protein accessible to antibody detection. The main method of transferring protein is called electroblotting, which use an electric field oriented perpendicular to the surface of the gel to pull protein out the gel and move into the membrane. So it can be done semi-dry or wet condition, while wet condition are usually more reliable as it is less likely dry out the gel. As shown in this figure, the membrane is placed. This blotting membrane is placed between the gel. This is the gel. This is the blotting membrane, and this gel surface and filter paper. So first this is the gel and this is the blotting membrane and this is the filter paper. The transfer sandwich is created as follows: a fiber pad, upper side is a fiber pad, is called sponge, and filter paper, then the gel, filter paper, then blotting membrane and gel, and filter paper again, then again a sponge. This is the protein transfer membrane we use in this procedure. Next is the blocking process. In the blocking process is a very important step in the Western blot to prevent antibodies from binding to the membrane non-specifically. The most commonly used typical blockers are BSA and non-fat dry milk. When the membrane is placed into the diluted solution of protein, the protein attached to the all places. This red one is the protein. This protein are attached to all places in the membrane where the target protein have not attached. Again I am repeating, when the membrane is placed in the dilute solution of the protein, the proteins attached to the all places in the membrane where the target protein have not attached. In this way, the noise in the final product of the Western blot can be reduced and result in a clear results. You can see here the clear results only in the red color. So in this picture you can see this is the membrane, or in this picture this is the membrane, and this is the other types of protein, and this is our targeted protein, and this is the blocking solution which are using as a BSA or non-fat dry milk, and this targeted protein bind with BSA and or dry milk. You can see here, and on the other proteins, these antibodies not attached. So next one is the antibody incubation. In this part, primary and secondary antibody both we are using. So after blocking, the primary antibody bind to target protein. After blocking, this is the membrane. After blocking period, the primary antibody is bind with this target protein. When the primary antibody is incubated with the membrane, the choice of primary antibody depends on the antigen to be detected. Washing the membrane with the antibody buffer solution is helpful for minimizing background and remove unbound antibodies. After rising the membrane is exposed to the specific enzyme conjugate secondary antibody. This is the secondary antibody. So when performing secondary antibody incubate, the labeled secondary antibody can bind to the primary antibody. You can see here, this is the our targeted protein, this is the primary antibody. Again, when we are using the labeled secondary antibody, this secondary antibody is is attached by the primary antibody. So when performing secondary antibody incubate, the labeled secondary antibody can bind to the primary antibody, which has reacted with targeted proteins. Based on the species of the primary antibody, we can choose the appropriate secondary antibody. So next stage is protein detection and analysis. A substrate reacts with the enzyme that is bound to the secondary antibody to generate color substrate. So it is enable us to know the densitometry and location of the target's protein. So, and the size approximates are taken by the comparing and protein band to the marker. There are several detection systems are available for the protein visualization, such as calorimetric detection, chemiluminescence detections, radioactive detections, and fluorescence detections. The electrochemiluminescence system is most common detection method. So, in this detection method, you can see here in this picture, the bands, specific proteins bind bands are visible here. You can see here. These are the markers and these are the specific bind proteins band. So, Western blotting assay workflow, we can see, or we can say, we can understand Western blotting easily by this picture. See, in this picture, this is the samples performed electrophoresis, then electrophoresis transfer into the nitrocellulose membrane. This nitrocellulose membrane blocked with the blocking buffer. In the fourth step, incubate with the primary antibody and wash with the wash buffer, then again incubate with the secondary antibody and again wash with the wash buffer, and then detected using method or chemistry of the choice, and here the some specific proteins band are visualized here. So next is the application of Western blotting. To determine the size and amount of protein in given sample, it is most sensitive and specific test for determining size and amount of protein present in any material. It is most widely used as confirmatory test for the diagnosis of HIV, where this procedure is used to determine whether the patient has antibodies that react with one or more viral protein or not. A Western blot is also used as the definitive test for the Lyme disease, hepatitis B infection, and HSV2 herpes type 2 infection. So, difference in the southern, northern, and western blotting. We can see in this picture, this is the target molecules. In the southern blotting is DNA, and northern blotting is RNA and western blotting is the protein. And sample preparation by the DNA extraction enzyme digestion. In this northern blotting it use RNA isolation and western blotting use protein extraction. And separation by the electrophoresis. In northern blotting also separation by the electrophoresis, and again western blotting also separation by the electrophoresis. So electrophoresis is the common in these three blots. So membrane material is used in southern blotting and northern blotting is nylon, and western blotting we use nitrocellulose membrane or PVDF. Probes we are using in southern blotting is nucleic acid probe with sequence homologous to target. In the northern blotting we use probes RNA, DNA or oligo deoxynucleotide, and in the western blot we use probe is a primary antibody. Probe labeled we use the radio labeled or enzyme, and in this RNA we use radio labeled and enzyme, and proteins only we used enzyme labeled probes. So detection method we used in southern blotting is X-ray film or chemiluminescence, and again northern blotting is used same things, but in the proteins we can use films or camera, LED or infracted image system. So guys, I have almost covered my topics related to this lecture. So I hope you all students able to understand this lecture. If you have any queries, then you can mail me on innovationcarrierforyou@gmail.com, and you can also follow our ITLS Academy on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, WhatsApp and LinkedIn, and you can also subscribe for more details our website. Thank you for listening me.